because WWE was not the only pro wrestling program to have some shakeups in the commentary and announce team space. This past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, our girl Renee Paquette made her AEW Dynamite debut in her home country of Canada. This was AEW's first time in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and she debuted with an opening segment, ironically, with another Canadian great in Christian Cage. But I wanted to know, how do you feel like the addition of Renee to AEW is going to increase the value of the product? Do you think she's going to add value to AEW with her being on that announced team?
I just feel like anywhere Renee goes, she like she is the gold. Like she
Mm,
literally anything she touches, she makes gold. She's so likable. Everyone loves Renee. We loved her on Total Divas. We loved her as a commentator. We loved her as an interviewer. She was doing just fine, off by herself.
mm-hmm.
People followed her podcast, anything that she does. She's just a likable human being, very unbiased, very unproblematic. She's just a.
Right,
Like Dean is a lucky guy, fucking lucky guy,
right.
you know. Um, and I think that she adds a little bit more legitimacy. I don't think people give Renee enough credit. Because she is one of the more respected women in her field of in her line of work. You know what I mean? Like you never really hear any like bad or negative reviews about Renee, but I do feel like she is a trailblazer in her own way
Mm-hmm.
for this field, because her showing up, I mean, you could get rid of a handful of people from AEW off of commentary, to be
That's a fact.
honest, and just replace that with one Renee. Like, you could drop 5 people right now and just leave a one Renee because she's that valuable.
Mm.
So I'm happy for her. Good for her. I'm very pleased to see her be back and involved with wrestling because I was a little bit scared I would never see her again after she gave birth. I thought she made up her mind, but I love that that itch came back to her and that she's doing something that makes her happy and she's alongside her husband. Of course, I would love to see her back in WWE, but I mean, why would she not want to be closer to home?
Mm.
So long as she's happy, I'm happy. Good for Renee. What do you think?
I agree with you. Shout out to the Public Enemies podcast because they said something on their Twitter that I heavily agree with, and that is that Renee Paquette, formerly known as Renee Young, is the Doris Burke of professional wrestling. If you watch NBA on ESPN, you know who Doris Burke is. She's that girl. Renee Paquette is that girl. Always has been that girl. Always will be that girl. Um, I think she really solidified herself as a top tier wrestling personality when she had her own podcast of oral sessions. Loved her podcast, loved her conversations with pretty much anyone of any company. Even the stuff that she did with John. So yeah, Renee is that girl. Like, I think that, you know, she showed with oral sessions how valuable she is to the professional wrestling industry. She's one of the best interviewers, one of the best talkers. I felt like she could have been doing a lot more in WWE, but I feel like she only had, you know, a ceiling because of who was in charge. And I'm just glad that she's in a position where she can fully be herself in an environment where she feels comfortable. Also, very eager to see if she gets in the ring because that's something that she's kind of talked about briefly on her podcast. So I'm very, very interested in seeing what happens with that. But yeah, Renee's that girl.
Renee wrestling?
Renee wrestling. I want to see Renee wrestling. I would love to see a nice little cute little mixed tag, John and Renee versus somebody. I think it'd be nice. I think it'd be cool.
What would be her finisher?
The dirty deeds. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, if Stephanie can use the pedigree, Renee Paquette can use dirty deeds or the Death Rider or
Imagine she
whatever.
did a Canadian Destroyer in her first
That
match.
would be fire. But then again, everybody uses the Canadian Destroyer now, so I don't even know how it would be,
That's what I'm
how it would react.
saying. It's like it's became a move where like if you're a newbie and you want to prove yourself, you gotta do Canadian Destroyer.
That's a
or
fact.
if
Like the
or if you want to prove that you didn't lose it yet, do a
right.
Canadian
That's a
Destroyer.
fact. But I'm very
Yeah.
eager to see what she does in AEW. But